For my whole life, it seems like I've been too much of something. I talk too much, I'm too sensitive, too aggressive, too timid, too soft. I let those words shape my identity and question my passion, always feeling like I needed to apologize for the space I took up with both my voice and my body. But now I realize it wasn't that I was too much, it's that the rooms were just too small. I'm Kaylee, a recovering self-critic, figure skating enthusiast, health and wellness advocate, and the official defender of your passion. Welcome to Reasonably Loud, the space where we stop apologizing for our muchness and start using it as our superpower. Let's dive in. Quick note before we begin. While I am a certified personal trainer and a certified intuitive eating counselor, I am not a doctor or a licensed medical professional. The information in this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your diet or exercise routine. Now, let's get into the show. Welcome to Volume 2 of Reasonably Loud. Today I want to talk about something I am not very good at, gardening. So my dad, I love my dad. I'm an only child and I'm very close to both of my parents. But my dad and I specifically are very much the same person. We both think the same way, we're both talkers, we're both creative and emotionally connected to the things around us. My mom is amazing too. She is strong and thoughtful. She gives without any thought of return. She loves to learn and is incredibly intuitive. One of my best friends says that I am a dreamer like my dad and practical like my mom. I know I am incredibly blessed. As much as I'm a carbon copy of my father, I did not inherit two specific traits: his love for coffee and his green thumb. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could probably learn how to garden. I mean, any of us can learn how to do anything if we put enough effort into it. But I have zero desire to put any effort into it. Don't get me wrong, I love nature and trees and being outdoors. I love cutting the grass, and I love the exquisite precision of a well-kept lawn. I love the beauty of flowers and bushes, and I have so much respect for the keen eye that can take a blank yard and create a masterpiece with rocks, dirt, and plants. But I am not one of those people. At our home, we have a little postal stamp of a garden bed right beside our front door. For the last few years, I have tried to make it look nice, each year learning a bit more about what plants would take the least amount of maintenance. And although I've never been fully satisfied with how it turned out, at least it was neat and it looked okay. 2 years ago, I put in hostas, and when they came back up the next year, I was so excited. I told you I'm hopeless. I didn't even know that hostas were perennials. But after this past winter, I was convinced that I had killed them all, when other people's hostas were starting to bloom and mine were not. And even though there was a small squeak of something that was popping up through the dirt this spring, the jury was still out on whether they were going to fully bloom. And they have a little bit, but I think they're starting to stunt. I don't know. We'll see. Or maybe it was just too cold for them to come out and they were scared, and I don't blame them. So we'll have to see. It remains to be seen. Before the hostas, when we first moved in 6 years ago, this little patch of earth housed a large bush that my husband promptly cut down, and the area lay bare for the first summer that we were here. The following spring, we wanted to make it look nice and start digging it up. And to my surprise, because again, I cannot stress enough about how much I do not know about plants and gardening, the roots of the bush were still firmly planted, and it took quite a bit of work to dig them up fully. When we finally got them up, it was a light bulb moment for me. How deeply roots dig down and how stubborn they are to weed out. They are there to bring life and protection to the plant. They are part of its fuel and its caretaker. In the winter months, when the leaves cannot survive, the roots hold tight, keeping this incredible creation safe so that it can bloom season after season. Roots really are amazing. We all have roots in our lives. Our childhood plants roots, the fundamental moments in our lives plant roots, and even the ordinary day-to-day experience throughout our lives plant roots, some for the better and some for the worse. These roots form beliefs and influence how we see the world and others and ourselves. And one of the influences in our belief system is diet culture. It's interesting because diet culture is especially prevalent in the Western world, but there are other parts of the world where it is much less influential. What this tells me is that as much as it is a deeply rooted belief system in our culture and our individual lives, it's also something that can be unlearned, making space for other beliefs to take root. Keep that in mind as we work through this episode and start dismantling the harmful roots of diet culture together. In Shakespeare's Othello, the villain Iago says this quote, "Our bodies are our gardens, to the which our wills are gardeners." On the surface, I think that this is a lovely quote that illustrates how we are the caretakers of our bodies, and that there are several things that we can do to cultivate the rich soil of our lives to help make them fruitful and vibrant. Some things we have control over, like ensuring we are adequately fed, that we make time for movement, that we get quality sleep, maintain meaningful connections, and show ourselves compassion. We can also aid in our health by limiting things like smoking and excess drinking. There are many things that we have control over that contribute to our health. And even though there is beauty in how we care for and show respect to our bodies, this quote sheds light on a very different approach to health and wellness. In the context of the play, Iago's message is eerily similar to that of diet culture. Iago uses the metaphor to make the point that humans have total control over their bodies, and there is no excuse for wayward actions or emotions. Iago's disdainful claim is that through manipulation and control, we can force discipline to rule the day, and anything other than that is a weakness and failure of our own making. Like Iago, diet culture too teaches us that if we just muster enough willpower, we can turn our bodies into whatever we want them to be. Actually, scrap that. It tells us that we can turn them into whatever the prevailing bodily trend is at the given moment. But if your body does not fit the mold of the day, it is simply because you did not try hard enough. It tells us that our body is a problem that our minds can fix if we just try hard enough. That perspective is a stark contrast to the tenderness and care a garden and humans actually need in order to see meaningful growth and resiliency. So how does this message affect us? Well, diet culture excels at planting the belief that we have total control over our bodies and our health. Remember, diet culture is the widespread belief system that idolizes thinness, equates body size with moral virtue, promotes hyper-restricting food, and glorifies exercise as the only path to health and worthiness. It profits off of us believing that we are a garden that can be worked solely by our wills. It is so deeply rooted in our cultural makeup that as individuals, we don't even realize it's there. Like the bush that my husband dug up 6 years ago, these roots are deep, strong, and invasive. We may see it in obvious places, like advertisement for weight loss products or magazines with thin models claiming a list of foods we need to avoid. We may also find it sneaking up on us, like when we quietly judge ourselves for eating that third cookie, or when we just can't seem to ever feel good in our body no matter what size it is. I'll give you an example of how diet culture has quietly shown up in my life. Years ago, I needed to buy a new winter coat, and someone close to me said, "Shouldn't you wait to buy it until you lose weight?" The belief was that I shouldn't spend a lot of money on something that may not fit me once I lose weight. It was a comment rooted in making a problem of my body size, rather than in the safety of my body being warm and looked after. I do believe that the person meant well and didn't mean to be unhelpful, because that's how diet culture disguises itself. Diet culture wants us to believe that our bodies have problems that can be easily fixed by following the latest trends. Ironically, those trends are always changing, and our bodies are never what they're supposed to be. The reality, however, is that our bodies, our health, and our well being is so much more nuanced. First of all, there is no one size fits all approach to fitness and nutrition. What is healthy for one person may not be healthy for another. Secondly, what the diet culture belief completely ignores is that there are massive forces outside of our control. We don't all have the same access to fresh food or unbiased healthcare. We live in a world that treats people differently based entirely on the size of their body, valuing some lives over others. Diet culture pretends that we are all playing on a level field, but that's a lie. They sell us willpower while ignoring reality. And that's not even mentioning the most fundamental piece that diet culture does not want us to know at all, that we cannot actually force our skeletal frame and natural genetic blueprint to look like someone else's without causing physical and mental harm. We can water and feed the most expensive fertilizers to a peach tree all day long, but it will not grow apples. That doesn't mean that peaches are bad and apples are superior. Similarly, our genetics are a major factor of our natural body shape, bone structure, and size. Forcing our bodies to shrink or fighting our natural builds to fit a passing trend causes more harm than good in the long run. I want to be clear though, this isn't about saying our bodies can never change or evolve. Our bodies do change throughout life, through habit changes, through pregnancy, through transition, and through aging. And that is the beautiful evolution of a living ecosystem. Contrary to Iago's immortal words, tending to your garden isn't about forcing an arbitrary, restrictive aesthetic outcome. It's about cultivating what will naturally unfold when given tender and loving care. We are told that our wills have the power to change our bodies if we just muster enough power, and if we don't, then we have failed. But the truth is that the thing our wills can truly do is not try to change our bodies, but recognize that our bodies are worthy and deserving of that love and care, just as they are. If you find yourself struggling with food, exercise, and body image, feeling like you just can't seem to get it right, I want you to know that you are not alone. Most of my life, I felt like I could just not get a handle on my health and wellness. But what I've realized over the years of healing and uprooting is that it's not that I couldn't get it right, it's that the path I was trying to find was not going to be found in diet culture. Because the path I was actually looking for was rooted in respect, not manipulation. I was looking for care, not control. Remember that the deep roots of diet culture are there because of the constant messaging we've been subjected to our whole lives. But we internalize that message because we really truly want the best for our health and our bodies. It's not that we're trying to harm ourselves, in fact, quite the opposite. But what I really want to shine a light on today is not that we're doing a bad job of taking care of ourselves. It's that the path we've been told to follow is flawed and self-serving. Serving itself, not us. It has its own best interest in mind, not yours. But you do have your own best interest in mind, which is why the merry-go-round circus of diet culture is so exhausting. It never actually gets us to where we want to be. It takes years of curiosity and grace to carefully untangle the nuanced threads that are interwoven so deeply that we don't even realize that how we feel about ourselves doesn't come from our own eyes, but from the eyes of a system that tells us that we're unfinished. I have had my share of Iago type characters tell me over the years that it's just simply my lack of willpower that stops me from cultivating the garden of my dreams, or rather, the body that diet culture says I should have. And if I'm being completely honest, I have been the Iago character myself. I have spoken from a place where I was entangled in the throes of a culture that praises the discipline that results in one specific outcome. I deeply regret those times, but I have to practice my own pillar of grace here Otherwise, I can't move forward and share this new message of peace and autonomy with you. And I want to finish with that message of hope. I wasted a lot of my time, money, and energy trying to make my body smaller to fit what I thought was the ultimate picture of health. But the thing about pictures is that they capture what things look like, not what they actually are. The roots underneath tell the bigger story, one of deprivation and restriction, shame and guilt, and criticism of my body that was not actually healthy at all. Those are the roots that need to be dug up and replaced with a more uplifting foundation. One built on peace, connection, and respect. And yes, the integration of habits that actually promote health from all aspects, not just aesthetics. I am not going to sugarcoat it. Doing the work to undo these roots is hard. It takes patience and a lot of compassion. I may not have the desire to learn how to properly garden my small patch of earth outside my house, but reconnecting with my body to show it the respect and grace it deserves is work worth doing. It may require assistance from a trusted confidant, like a therapist or a coach, but I would encourage you to stick with it, however nonlinear the path may be. We looked at the bigger picture today as well, the systemic roots that affect access to food, safety, and healthcare in our communities. I want to put action behind those words, so this week I am making a personal financial donation to the Hamilton Food Share, which helps stock emergency shelves across our city, and Food for Kids Hamilton, which feeds local students over the weekends. I have included links to both in the description if you want to join me in watering the soil of our community. And if you're listening from outside of Hamilton, I encourage you to look for similar charities working to make a difference in your own city. Thank you so much for joining me today. If something in this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear your stories. You can find me on Instagram at Coach Kaylee B, that's CoachKayleeb, or on Facebook, KB Fitness Plus Wellness. Let's keep building the circle together, practicing curiosity, respect, and grace. Talk to you soon.